podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Ford. Ford invites us tech geeks to join the conversation, submit ideas, and grab a Tech Geek badge at social.ford.com. Hello and welcome to All About Android. This is episode 78, recorded on Tuesday, September 25th, 2012. We are your weekly source for all the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell, here with...
I'm Ron Richards, and you read that very well.
Thank you. I tried not to look down.
No, it was good. You had me. I was convinced.
That I had it all up here?
Yeah, it was good.
Wow,
well
okay, I did better than I thought I did. And to my right, we welcome back someone who we love having on the show, Aaron Newcomb. Thank you for joining us yet again.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Not only that, but you came prepared.
Oh, yes.
So I love
over-prepared, actually, in this case.
Yeah.
Just look at
We've
this
got stuff all over the place, controllers,
everywhere, even outside of the view.
And we've got cool stuff that you can't see right now.
Yeah, you can't see it. It's over.
It's going to be awesome. Trust me.
It's really cool.
We are going to be discussing a lot of cool things, the hardware first and foremost, but we also have Matias Duarte saying some pretty interesting things about the state of Android, apps made by fans. As I mentioned, tons of in-house hardware. We're going to devote our entire hardware section to just things we have here because there's a lot of cool stuff. And that's not it. There's much more. So we might as well dive. Oh, actually, before we dive in, we should wish Android a happy birthday, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
4 years old.
Happy birthday, Android. We slept on it. We didn't get a cake, unfortunately, but we've been having a lot of sweets on the show.
Yeah,
so
I know,
I think
right?
It's probably okay to just kind of wish it a happy birthday. And,
I agree.
I agree.
It's kind of getting a little chubby, so we don't want to be bad influences on Android and bulk it up.
4 years.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago, I got a G1.
Yeah, me too.
That's crazy.
It is.
That's crazy.
So the G1 was October 2008.
Yep.
The platform was originally released September 23rd, 2008. So probably a little bit less than a month or around a month later, the G1 hit. And you got it right away?
I got the G1. I waited I think a week or two after the G1 came out because I was on the fence. I was rocking a Windows Mobile, an old HTC with slider keyboard and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember Rob, who's at Revision 3 now, he was working somewhere else at the time. And we went to get drinks and he'd gotten one. And he showed it to me, and I was like, I'm convinced. And I literally went from the bar right across the street to the T-Mobile store and bought it right there.
Did you know anything about Android at that point?
I read about it.
A little bit about it.
Yeah. It's our jobs. We're in this tech circle, so I was aware of it. But I was like, I'm going to wait and see. And then as soon as I play with one, I'm convinced I had it.
You're like, I saw that bent chin. I had to have it.
And then I went to work the next day back at Rev 3, and I showed Eileen, and I said, hey, look at this. And I showed Mauricio over there, and then we started App Judgment. And then so had I not gone out for drinks that night, this wouldn't have happened.
Crazy world.
It would have been somebody else.
Crazy life we live.
Yeah. And did we mention Eileen's out? She's going to be back next time?
Yes, yeah. Eileen is unfortunately not here this week. She's kind of taking the break. She's been really, really busy.
She's been working.
The grindstone, whatever that saying is. Nose to the grindstone, is that it or something? I don't know.
She's working the grindstone.
Yeah, there we go. She's working the grindstone. But
she's making flour.
She'll be back next week with us, and we miss her terribly. But let's not dwell on that. Let's dive into the news. All right. So Matias Duarte had a lot to say about Android. First of all, if you see the picture, he had a lot to say about his wardrobe. Because I think his not only his shirt choice, but the many, many colors that surround him. It's kind of hard to look at, to be quite honest. But,
wow, that's busy.
It's like from the late 80s, early 90s. I mean,
yeah, I know. It really does look like a flashback.
He could be on an episode of The Cosby Show wearing that shirt.
I'll give him credit, though. It takes confidence to rock that. I mean, that's it's.
Hey, he has a mind about design that most of us don't understand. So
I can respect that.
He's very ahead of the curve right now. Maybe.
All right.
Anyways, that's not the story here. Matias Duarte, of course, came over to Android to help, ultimately deliver what we now know, ice cream sandwich, jelly bean. But before that, I think his first task was Honeycomb, and he had to do that on a very short turnaround. He came from Palm, and they're pretty successful WebOS platform. He was talking just last week on his Google Plus account and said, it's true, we have a lot of work to do. He's talking about Android here. Personally, I feel like I've gotten only about a third of the way to where I want to be with regards to consistency, responsiveness, and polish. Better get back to work. What do you guys think about this?
A third of the way.
A third of the way. Does this mean that it's underdeveloped and that he realizes there's issues? Or does this mean it's so amazing and can you believe we still have 2/3 more to give you?
Well, to be honest, I mean, not to read too much into it, and I kind of wish I wrote for a tech site or something like that, but if they're a third of the way through and we're on Ice Cream Sandwich, right? Which is the 9th letter of the alphabet, maybe?
I know. If you add it up,
that's about a third of the way through the alphabet, which is
maybe
weird.
he's being literal.
They're right on track. They're right on track, actually. Right where they should be.
So then if they're a third of the way through, of course, this is all parsing like completely what he said. This is probably a more abstract statement than anything, obviously.
I'm sorry, we're on Jelly Bean. The
does
chat
this
room
mean
is
that he gets to Z and then Android development's done?
That's my thought. Is it done at version 26?
Right. Well, it's perfect.
Yeah. So what would Z be?
What's
Z for dessert?
Yeah.
This is going to be a chat room question because I can't think of anything.
Zima? Man, if that's the best.
I don't think so.
And that's a brand name. They'd never do that.
Yeah.
At least as far as we know. Zonkers, Zebra Cakes, maybe.
Maybe. But that's a brand. Zingers.
Yeah, it's a brand.
These are all
Zingers
brands,
might not be bad.
So the very last version of Android ever is going to be zucchini bread.
I love Zagnut, actually. That's another brand, I think. But anyway,
I mean, this is good news. I think it would be kind of disappointing for him to say, well, I think it's perfect. That would never come out of his mouth or probably anyone working on the Android team.
Right.
But that would signal that they don't see that there are issues, and there definitely are. I think anyone that uses Android realizes over time, and I think this is probably the same with any mobile platform, is that it's great in some ways and it's deficient in others.
Well, and I want the development team to continue to be hungry, to continue to be constantly trying to improve it. I mean, anybody who works in technology or any sort of creative field is that when you get comfortable and when you say, okay, we're done, that's when you get stagnant and it gets a little stale and it gets old. And you look at all the great products that are out there, they're constantly iterating, they're constantly trying new things. They might take some missteps here and there, they might try things that don't work, but I'd much rather have that than the old release and walk away.
Absolutely.
And this is another example too where Google's lack of marketing prowess maybe is actually a good thing because he was actually allowed to say this. I work for another technology company where we would absolutely say you are not going to say that.
Yeah, you can't
because
reveal.
You can't say that. Not only that you can't reveal it, but that also leads people to believe that this product isn't finished. It's only a third of the way good. Right. So you can't say that every release is the best release ever, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I think this is an example where having that lack of everything having to go through the marketing team is actually a good thing because it kind of gives us some insight. And for us tech geeks, that's great.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
And give some credit to Jeb in the chat room who came up with Zeppoli, the wonderful Italian dessert, fried dough with confectioner sugar. That will be the last version of Android.
Maybe.
So Jeb, good job on
By then,
surprising.
everyone will speak Italian too.
Oh, exactly.
This
well, clearly, that's the direction the world is going. I mean, Italy's just a dominant market for us right now.
It really is. Just kind of related to this, Android Police had a write-up by Ron Amadeo that got a lot of kind of coverage last week, just based on just a number of things. I mean, he really nitpicks and picks apart Jelly Bean and the things that he quote can't stand about Jelly Bean. And just kind of reading through here, there are a lot of things that I would, I guess, agree with. Ultimately, though, I hit the end of it and I was like, yeah, but none of these are deal breakers. Yes, every mobile platform is going to have issues, as I already said. So I think it's good. These are ways in which they can and will improve, likely over time. We're just on the journey. We're on the train along with them.
We're just
and when you get down to these small issues that he's bringing up, I mean, it really becomes almost a preference.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't read the whole article, but I mean, I think that some of the things that he's saying, it's like, well, number one, like you said, I don't care, right? It's too small to care about. And then with other things, it's like, well, I don't know. It's not, it really becomes a preference. It's like, well, I kind of like it to run like that, or I like this button here, or the menu button, for example, is one thing. I don't really care. I just look for those 3 dots now. Like I'm trained to. At first, it was awkward.
Why is it up there and now it's down there?
Yeah, it moves around, and it's like first it was awkward, and now it's just like, oh yeah, there's the 3 dots. Fine, that's the menu. I know where it is. So
yeah, like this that you're showing right now, Chad. No 2 icons. These are Google.
This drives me crazy.
Specifically designed icons are the same. This drives you crazy.
It drives me nuts when I look at my my app drawer and they're not vertically. I got a little OCD, but not just Google's app icons, but just app icons in general. When there's little stuff like the difference, like the Google Play Store and the messaging app. Like that little bit of messaging going above the Google Play Store.
Well, it's interesting. Like when you look at icons and the way that they're lined up right there, like they're utilizing the same space.
Sure,
right? It just so happens that there's dead space above the shopping bag and dead space below the thing. I think on iOS you forgive this because every icon has a frame.
Has that frame, yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't matter where they are placed in there; they're all framed the same.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's kind of an interesting read. It's very, very long, so you got to give yourself some time or just scan through it.
I feel so bad for the designer. The Google voice icon just makes no sense.
Yeah,
it just makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't even look for the icon. I just look for voice. Yeah. I actually look for the text.
Yeah. It's mainly their issues in consistency.
Some of these are legit though. Some of the going through these, I'm reading these now and reading them
earlier. Lack of horizontal support.
Well, especially
with
the dialer.
With the horizontal support,
oh my goodness,
with the ultimate screen
recorder.
Yeah. But no, but like the Google Play Store not remembering your scroll position, that drives me crazy. So,
totally.
So in the horrifying news category, exactly, some disturbing news about Samsung Galaxy devices, and a major flaw or exploitation that's available on Samsung Galaxy devices running the TouchWiz overlay. It was revealed earlier that there's a specific phone dialer code that can hard reset the Galaxy S2, S3, and a bunch of other minor devices using the TouchWiz category. But then the horrifyingness of it continued when we realized that phone dialer code can now be embedded in both SMS as well as HTML.
Oh, fun!
And so, if you are using a TouchWiz, a Samsung Galaxy TouchWiz device, and you navigate to a website that uses this specific bit of code, bad stuff will happen. And now that this is out, this is a major exploitation, and we're just waiting for Samsung to issue some sort of fix. Super disturbing. I mean, it will being able to trigger a hard reset via phone code that you don't initiate yourself. That's just that feels like the tip of the iceberg, actually.
Yeah.
So at least it's not a hard wipe. At least it's not a total, but like,
still.
But a hard reset scares me.
Really
factory reset is pretty drastic.
Super.
Your data, your music files and things like that may still be there, but that's not good at all.
And particularly on one of the most successful, if not the most successful kind of brands on Android right now.
Right.
And they're just, and after the Apple case, I mean, it just seems like hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
And so just if you're using a Samsung device using TouchWiz, just be careful. Be careful what web, I hate to say it, but be careful what web pages you go to, what text messages you get. Just be careful. So, and stay tuned. Hopefully, this is somewhat breaking. I don't know if this is truly breaking news, but it's close. I mean,
I just saw it this morning. So.
It's within the past 24 hours. Hopefully there'll be a fix soon, and we'll be talking next week
it's
about
breaking light.
Yeah, we need a light breaking news graphic, actually.
I mean,
just like breaking news with breaking news with less like nicer music. Just
right.
Like,
not quite that. Not quite that exciting.
Anyway, but Samsung folks, be warned.
All right.
Yep. Luckily, I should throw out there too, though, because of the Google's. The way they do things, if you're using Gmail, your contacts and stuff like that will be backed up. So that's one good thing to point out for people that may not know.
Complete and total wipe.
Right. Because my wife didn't understand that when I gave her a new phone. It's like, we'll just set it up and your contacts will be there. Like, are you sure? Yeah. Are my contacts going to be there? I said, you got them synced with your Google account. They'll be there.
They're in the cloud. Beauty of the cloud.
All right, so let's now talk about some exciting things, for me anyway, since I have a Verizon Galaxy Nexus. Verizon Galaxy Nexus users finally have Jelly Bean. Ta-da! So it's taken forever, it seems like anyway, to me. In fact, I was just about to my device is already rooted, but I was just about to throw on a ROM because it's just taking forever for Verizon to update their devices as per usual. And so, but it finally came out, and it seems like the rollout is pretty successful. It's only over Wi-Fi for right now until October 5th or something like that. You can only do it over Wi-Fi, but if you have a Verizon Galaxy Nexus, and
Which Chad does, right? You got it.
I jumped up and down today.
Yeah, you ran over to me.
Did. Yeah, he did.
When Greg in the studio was like, "Hey, I just got my update this morning," and I freaked out and was so happy that finally came.
Well, and because we've been waiting so long, it's like, how many developers do they have working? Like one developer, like in a closet somewhere. What do they have to do? All they have to do is lock down Wallet and what's the other one that Verizon doesn't do?
What is the other? I've been off Verizon for so long, I don't remember.
I'll think of it in a minute. But yeah, it's basically like, they don't support Wallet, so they got to take that off. Wi-Fi. They have to lock down Wi-Fi tethering.
Right,
So that's the other one, right? Because they have to make sure that you pay them for something that's free on everywhere else. So that's the thing, and it is kind of frustrating, I will admit. It almost seems like, I bought this phone because it's a Nexus phone, and I want it to be immediately get the updates as soon as Google pushes them out, and that's not the case on Verizon.
But that's the Verizon way.
It's the Verizon way. It's not I'm sure it's not Google's preference, right?
Right.
But it's the Verizon way, and people on AT&T and T-Mobile, case in point, got the updates a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, you have a choice. I left Verizon. That was one of the reasons why when I got the G1, we were talking about it earlier. I was on Verizon. I went over to T-Mobile and I switched it over because I wanted to have I wanted to have the choice to get Android, and then T-Mobile had the better. I got the unlimited data stuff and all that. And ultimately, you do have a choice in your carrier. I mean, I know there are contracts and all those sort of things, but this is an example. And I felt like I was banging against the wall with Verizon when I was a customer there over this type of thing, and realized that while they're catering to the masses, they're not catering to people like us, which is more disturbing. They want more control over the devices. They want to be able to maintain and repair the devices themselves, and unlike any of the other carriers out there. That's why the iPhone was delayed for so long, because there was a friend of mine's spouse is a high up at Verizon, or was at the time, and said that they had the iPhone launch deal in place, and the sticking point was that Apple wouldn't let them service the phones.
Yep.
And Verizon insisted on it, and that was a deal breaker. So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And, I mean, I remember when, the Galaxy Nexus was being announced, and, then it, of course, announced for Verizon and everything. And there were a lot of people that were like, that's not going to be a real Verizon. You just wait and see. And this is kind of realizing that reality.
Real Nexus.
Or Real Nexus.
Right. That Chad's just jumping all over you.
I know. Thank you, Chad.
Apparently Chad's
everyone else was too slow, and I just want to make sure.
Thank you for that booming voice correcting me and putting me in my place.
I was going to let it go. I felt as if we all knew.
But it's just not essentially on the same playing field. This is kind of one of the first times, I think, where this is the case, where it's kind of obvious that this is just another phone on Verizon. Right. The differentiator in this case is that it's an Android phone that runs Jelly Bean without an overlay.
Right.
That's really what you get as far as a Nexus on Verizon.
Oh, and that's the third thing, I guess. They do put a couple of Verizon.
They do a couple of
apps in there, which you just disable.
Yeah, it's not
nice thing about Ice Cream Plus. In related news, we'll jump over to Samsung Galaxy S3, which apparently is starting to see. People are starting to see some updates there as well, up to Jelly Bean. So a couple of weeks ago, I think this was talked about. That Samsung Galaxy S3 would possibly be happening. And so now actually, at least in Europe, it's actually looks like it's starting to roll out. So,
which, I mean, kind of further illustrates just how lagging the Verizon Galaxy Nexus actually is. It's not that I don't want the S3 to get Jelly Bean. I want all phones to get it as fast as possible. But it's pretty crazy that the phone that is to get it faster than any other phone really only got it like maybe 4 or 5 days before the other phones started to catch up. And in that case, it's not fulfilling part of its promise.
Exactly. Yep.
So it would be so hard for me to leave Verizon, though. Just as a network, it's really hard for me to think about leaving it. I thought the same thing, dude.
I thought the same thing. I had Verizon from 1999 until 4 years ago, till 2008. I was such a loyalist. I laughed at my friends when they complained about the AT&T service and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But T-Mobile hasn't failed me.
I think I'm going to switch to the next phone because of how long this took, and then also the rumors of or the news of people who have unlimited data that when they update their new phone, they're
goes
unlimited.
away.
It goes away.
Yeah.
And I got unlimited data on 4G, which I thought that I would keep forever, but.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's not true.
I love having unlimited data. I mean, part of my key is that I'm past my contract with them, and this is I just get the phone and I drop my SIM card in, so I'm not buying a new phone with them. I'm not upping a contract.
Yep.
So I'm grandfathered into what I had. But T-Mobile, quickly on the T-Mobile service, the only place where this ever gets me that I notice where Verizon and sometimes AT&T does better is like when I go, like I'm in a club and I go deep into it and my signal just dies, and people in Verizon, for some reason, they're fine.
Yeah.
Situations like that when I'm like in a conference center or something like that, when I get deep inside of a building, T-Mobile seems to fail. But when I'm somewhat near a window and somewhat near outdoors and outside, and around the country, it's fine. So.
Yeah, Verizon's LTE seems to have a little bit better penetration.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just a quick mention. Scooter X in the chat room sent out a link. We didn't see it while we were talking about the the Samsung Galaxy TouchWiz exploit.
Is this breaking?
Yeah. Okay. So this is breaking enough.
Breaking news.
Sure.
An update on the Samsung. I screwed it up. An update on the Samsung TouchWiz issue. Jason, can you fill us in?
Well, I can fill you in by just briefly looking at this and saying Android Police has a write-up about this, and it's essentially confirming that the exploit is fixed in Jelly Bean, so that's good. Any device obviously running 4.1 should be safe, but this was a bug that I guess is not as serious as was
Samsung
previously.
PR said this isn't an issue. It's okay. Sure, you've seen videos of it happening, and there's all these people tweeting about it, but it's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing to see here.
Well, go to Android Police, check it more out. In the meantime,
I mean, literally, I just looked at this thing, so I would have to bust through here.
They're on it. They're working
a little deeper to really give you too much more than that, but it sounds like they're on it.
So we should go back to traffic and weather on the 8th?
All right, let's jump back to traffic and weather, also known as an email. Actually, in this case, it's a voicemail from Jonathan with a little correction from last week.
Hey, everyone, this is Jonathan. I'm from the Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania area. Last week you had someone on who said they had CyanogenMod 10 running on their Samsung Transform Ultra. I just want to let you know that it's more than likely not true. The Samsung Ultra has only really been able to run CyanogenMod 7, and that's in a very, very early alpha. One of the major stopping points is that we have a lack of developer support for this phone. If you go over to Android forums, you can see a lot of the work being done over there. So I love everything you guys do, and just figured I'd correct that other caller. Thank you. Have a great day.
He didn't say, well, actually.
But more or less it was. So that was Jerry last week that called about that, and I'm not entirely convinced that he didn't get it confused with something else. It would be only because he essentially said going from an Evo 4G to a Samsung Transform Ultra, which is definitely a downgrade in the type of phone. The Samsung Ultra Transform Ultra is definitely a low to mid kind of level phone. It's possible he was talking about the Transformer, in which case they definitely have CM10 on that. Mm-hmm. I'm not entirely convinced that he was lying. I don't think that. I think he actually probably got the model wrong. But anyways, I'd love an email from you just to clarify, because I'm very curious to know what CM10 is running on. And if you got it running on the Transform Ultra, there's a lot of people that would love to know that. There was actually there was a thread that appeared on Fandroid about this that was like, CM10 on all about Android on the Ultra. Is this true? And so there's definitely people looking for this.
That's great.
So if you got it going, hey, share the love. Let everybody know.
I dig it.
Anyways, a little correction there. Let's take a quick break and pay some bills. We want to thank our sponsor of today's episode, Ford, for bringing you this episode. Leo and Ayaz recently spoke to one of Ford's lead technologists, Jim Bukowski, about his views on future of technology and vehicles, some of the topics that were kind of thrown around, things like categories of apps coming from the Sync platform, which include location-based services, things like finding friends, financial service apps, lane departure warning, and lane centering features using the onboard cameras. Kind of cool.
Warning.
Yeah, exactly. We'll park your car for you. Using the cloud to seamlessly connect to information and services used in the home, vehicle, as well as the office office. And of course, Ford Social is one of the ways to develop and surface ideas to the engineering team at Ford. It's a place where you and people of any of any kind can go, whether you're into cars or not. I don't know. If you're into cars or not, you can go there with ideas and you can post your ideas. That's kind of what I'm saying. You can post your ideas at social.ford.com. There's just a lot of different ideas that you can find through there. Wi-Fi music sharing between cars and different Ford vehicles, biodiesel hybrid. So that was submitted actually by a 15-year-old. Automatic sunscreens, just a bunch of different cool technologies that are all just ideas from normal people. And you can go there and submit your ideas if you like. As a tech geek, Ford wants to hear your ideas, and they invite you to join the conversation. So go to social.ford.com. You can read more about it there, submit your ideas to Ford, and like your favorite ideas. And while you're at it, pick up a badge. Get a tech geek badge. And you can also actually find just a bunch of articles and interviews with different people. Leo is, of course, one of those included, and he submitted kind of an article about his discussion with Jim Bukowski. So go check it out. It's all at social.ford.com. We thank Ford so much for their support of All About Android. We the people, thank you. The regular people.
There was a Ford on Downton Abbey. I don't know if you guys are watching the.
Really?
No,
The British.
I keep hearing about this show. Apparently, I need to watch it at some point.
It's pretty good. But I'm watching the British stuff streaming. It's not out, I don't think, in the U.S. yet. But don't ask me.
It was on BBC America.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't feel so bad now.
Or PBS. No, it's on PBS.
Is it on PBS
Vaguely,
yet?
yeah,
I thought it was
it's on
coming
PBS.
on later, like in
Well, I
January.
think the new season might not be on yet.
So I'm watching
but
the
it
new
has
season.
been.
Somehow
Yeah.
I'm watching the new season.
Sure, yeah,
Don't ask me
I'm
how.
with you, I'm with you.
I'm watching it, and so it's the 1920s, and this Ford comes rolling in. I'm like, is that product placement? Like, are they doing that? Like, because
Well, or is it
clearly
historically accurate?
Well, I think it's both.
Yeah,
I think it's
probably,
historically accurate. But was Ford really shipping cars over to the UK in 1920?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
But clearly they were focusing on the logo as the car was coming in. It was like, oh, that's the Ford logo, And I was like, wait a second,
Could be both.
But anyway.
All right, so now's my favorite time of the show. We've got a new segment, and Jason's getting in the mode. We've got two titles, two potential titles. We'll let the audience decide. We've either got the title I came up with, which is Talking Hardware, a little more casual, or the title Jason came up with,
Hardware in the Hizouse. Let's go. I think just by default yours should win, Ron, because I should never ever say that again.
I think that's what we're going to call it now from now on, because I want to see you do that every time. So, no, but we basically we've got a ton. Thanks to Aaron, we have a ton of toys here on the desk on the table. So we're gonna take a look at some stuff.
Absolutely. And this first item, I'm actually really excited to hear about, the Vizio Co-Star.
Yeah. So I picked this up right as soon as they came out because I was really excited about it. Wanted to get something with Google TV on it for a while. And
A very good choice.
Yes, absolutely. Well, maybe. We'll talk about that.
The answer may surprise you.
That's right.
You're in my house now, so let's
you're in my his house.
My his house.
So let's talk about the Vizio Co-Star. First of all, the first thing you notice about it is it's very small. I'll move it over here for the time being so you can see how small that is compared to my mouse. I've got a small mouse, so that's telling you something right there. So it's very small. It fits. It's going to fit with your entertainment gear, no matter how small of a space you have. Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's very tiny. On the back of it, there's basically just a few ports. There's power. There is a hardwired LAN, which is really nice if you're wired for speed.
Which I in a home theater environment, I prefer that.
Yep.
Like that. Yeah, that's a must have for me, especially with the Google TV and all that stuff.
There's also a USB port, so you can plug in your USB thing. If you've got photos loaded on it, I've already done that, which is really cool. It just picks it up automatically.
And is there a USB port only in the back or in the front?
Only in the back. There's nothing on. All the ports are in the back. There's nothing on the sides. Yep. There's also two HDMI ports on the back. There's one for HDMI in and one for HDMI out, so you can hook up your pass-through. Right. Yep. You can hook up your TV box, whatever satellite box or whatever you happen to have, like Google TV boxes have. They've been that way, right? Yep. At home, I don't use that because I've cut the cord. I don't have a satellite box, so I can't. As far as this review goes, I can't tell you how well that works. I'm assuming it just works great, but I don't know. So what I use it for mostly is Netflix and things like that. Mm-hmm. but let's still talk about the hardware before we get too far along. So the hardware on the inside of the box, there was actually a teardown done by iFixit, and they figured out that it's actually using a Marvell chip on the inside. It's a 1.2 gigahertz chip, which it's a dual core 1.2 gigahertz, I should say, which you would think would lend a little bit more performance to the box, but the box is actually a little bit sluggish.
Really?
And I'll show you that in a minute when we pull up some of the stuff. But it does have a dedicated video graphics chip built in, so you can do 1080p, and it does video really, really well. There's no lag. It'll do high definition, Netflix, all the video things that I've tried with it have been really, really great. So that's super.
Well, I should hope so.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's for,
the
right?
device, yeah.
But it's hard to tell with a box this small. It's really hard to tell if it's going to work or not.
Yeah.
The box itself performs fairly sluggishly. There's already been a couple of updates though, and it seems like they've fixed a few minor bugs. There's been 2 updates since I've had it, and I've had it for about a month.
Interesting.
So it seems like Vizio's on top of this. They really want it. They're supporting it very well. Okay, so you can see some of the sluggishness actually right away when we turn on the Vizio. This is what comes up. It comes up with a little V thing. And when I push the V button here, it's supposed to bring up the menu. So I just pushed it. It takes a couple seconds for it to come up. If I push it again, you kind of wait. It goes away. Right. The graphics they're smooth, but they're not that smooth.
They're not butter.
They're not butter.
Yeah,
That's
Jason's
right.
favorite term. They're not buttery.
So you push it, it comes. It's a little slow. Some of the I've noticed also there's a few games that are available for it, such as Dragonfly, which I think Eileen likes that game, right? So
Dragonfly,
the Dragonfly app. The Dragonfly actually works fairly well, but not great.
And it came with it?
No, I had actually loaded it from the market.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's unfortunate.
I loaded it from the market. So now let's skip this one. Okay, so great. Let's play. Play. Hang on, we'll get this. Can I play it? Okay, let's get out of this because it's not. Oh, there it goes. I had to escape the menu.
All right.
So I just want to show you some of the lag. Also, the other thing to note is that it does have a nice little touchpad thing here, but it doesn't always work.
The frame rate on it is really...
Yeah.
That's what I noticed, right off. It's like...
Exactly. So, for games and stuff, it's not... It just doesn't work. Well, I'll tell you what the issue is that I was going to demonstrate is when you're supposed to hold the touchpad down to make the guy go down and stuff, but it doesn't sync up very well with the
lag,
valleys and stuff and the lag. And so it ends up being really, really hard to play. What I will show you, though, is Netflix. So let's load up Netflix. Netflix, it's the nice thing about this is, like I said, it does video very, very well. The Netflix interface is always up to date with whatever's out on the Google Play Store. So that's really good. So when your queue comes up, you've got everything just as it would appear on any other device that supports Netflix and updates their Netflix app. So you've got the ability to do subtitles and different languages and things like that on all the videos. The videos are HD quality and they work really, really well. So we can watch an episode of Family Ties maybe.
As we are wont to do.
Yep.
So for the chat room, this was a sitcom in the 80s.
Right. In case you aren't old enough to. So you can see it actually loaded very quickly. And it's hard to tell on the video, but the quality is actually although it's not good right now, in a couple of seconds it'll catch up.
Netflix apps
it'll buffer and it actually does give you HD. I don't even think this is an HD episode, so this was a bad example, but you can see that it works really, really well for video. There's no lag, there's no glitchiness when you're watching video and things like that. So overall, I would say that the box is worth it if this is what you want to do. If you want a box that will let you watch your TV, picture in picture, kind of as a pass-through device, as we talked about before, this is a really good box for you. If you want to do things like Netflix, this is a really good box for you. If you don't have a smart TV and you want to add smart TV capabilities, this is a good box for you. But just don't expect it to perform really well for games or anything else really that outside of watching video, because the dedicated video chip makes the video nice and smooth and works well. But if you want to do other things like games and things, it's probably not what you're looking for.
That's the challenge with Google TV. I've experienced similar with I have the Sony Blu-ray self-contained box, and you can access the Google Play Store. You can download Android apps. You can download games. It's not what it's designed for.
Right.
It's designed to be an entertainment media device. It's not at least not there yet in terms of the processors and stuff like that. And so I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
Like I put Cannonball on my Google TV and the same lag problem.
Yeah. It's just not really designed for it.
Yeah.
There are more apps I noticed coming out all the time. When I first got this, I was like, "You're crazy! Like I can't even get some of my favorite apps on here." And then after the updates, some I don't know what it was, maybe a compatibility issue or something
That's the biggest problem is that the developers aren't, and whether they should or I mean, we talk about the forking of Android and all that sort of stuff. The developers, there's a lot of compatibility issue in that the developers need to say that this app can work on a Google TV and make it available in the Play Store. But the work involved to do that, to make it work on a Google TV is slightly different. The market penetration isn't there to do a Google TV version for most popular apps. So sometimes that's why a lot of people are doing side loading and then they're running apps.
And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a good box. The other nice thing about it is this, and then I'll finish with this, is the remote.
Right.
The remote's pretty cool. Like I said, it has a trackpad. One of the things the other thing I like about it is it has a keypad on the back. So you've got a full QWERTY keypad on the back. It uses RF or some other wireless technology. It doesn't use infrared to communicate, so you can kind of do it anywhere around the room, which is great. And so it all works really well. It also does, and you can tell me if this is my first Google TV device, so you'll have to tell me if this is your experience. But since this device sits outside of the TV, maybe more like the review, the setup wizard is really, really nice. It looks nice, and they give you the options to put in like, oh, I've got a Blu-ray player, I've got a receiver, I've got a whatever other device you have, and it kind of figures out like how to control those devices. So when I hit volume up, it controls my receiver as opposed to the TV volume. That was really nice too. Yeah,
they've done a great job at positioning the Google TV as a layer that goes on top of what you might already have. So so to that point where you can, for mine the Blu-ray player was integrated, but for example, I installed it at my sister's house, and it was just that they had the integrated Blu-ray player, but they had a cable box and all this other stuff, and it just was so easy to install for that reason.
Right.
So they've been with the latest OS update, they've really gotten smart about what they're about who's using it and what they need, what kind of guidance,
and making it easy.
Yeah. What I found fascinating about this is when you pulled it up, and can you go back to the home menu?
Yeah.
On there is just the subtle UI difference that Vizio did, and this again showing the versatility of Android. For me on the Sony box, it's a completely different menuing system. It's a completely different. I've got a tray down at the bottom where I've got a couple of persistent links, and then I can open up an app tray. They've eliminated that lower bottom. They've got the thing up top, which are your favorite apps, I think, right?
Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry.
I was going to show you this too. I don't know if you have
cool.
this.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it's more similar to the jelly or ice cream sandwich experience when you hit the little menu, or not menu, but like multi-application button,
like
whatever that
like
button
task
is.
browser type.
Yeah, so you can actually, if I was to stay in that, you could actually browse back and forth the apps that are already open that you already have running.
Yeah, multitasking.
And like you said, they do have this favorites thing up at the top, and you can actually customize that favorites apps. You can put whatever apps you want in there. Now you can't change. They have buttons on the remote that are hard coded. Right. You can't change, unfortunately.
Well, for what buttons? For what?
They
apps?
actually have an Amazon button, a Netflix button, and
because you know why they can't change this,
right?
Because they paid for them.
That's right. Yeah. So those are hard coded. There's nothing you can do with that, but you can change the favorite apps, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, no, and so it's like basically they took what Google had done with the stock and did their own kind of layer, and actually this is it's a little prettier than what I've got. I'm a little jealous.
Yeah.
So
overall I would say it's really good. The other thing I will mention too is that I said there was no infrared to the box, and that's true for the Google the TV part of it, but there is an infrared blaster in the remote, so you can, like I said, for controlling receivers and other components. And it'll also they bill it as kind of a universal remote function. It's not going to replace your Logitech Harmony remote though. So
cool.
Yep.
Excellent.
It's very cool. I've been curious about that device. I'm glad.
Me too. Me too. It's kind of a bummer that it's not doesn't perform a little better for all the things,
especially coming out like a year and a half after the review. I mean, you would think that they would.
Yeah. Well, we've had a version update. I mean, like we're on Google TV 2.0 or whatever it is now. So I mean, there has been some progress, but it's been interesting to see the direction the OEMs are taking in terms of more towards the Roku kind of style box. I don't know if it's because Apple with what they do with the Apple TV or whatever, but even with Sony, you know, a couple of months back, we saw the new Sony devices, and none of them were integrated into TVs or into Blu-ray players. They're just a little. Sony has a little box as well now. So.
And I'm sure it's a price point consideration, like, oh, we can make it faster by putting in a better chip, but it's going to cost $200 instead of $100. You know, it's like kind of go back and forth. And I think $100 is just right for this device. I can't say that with all devices that I buy.
That's a good
$100 is a perfect price point for this.
I agree. So cool.
Rad, thanks for bringing that in. To continue on this marathon that's only just begun of hardware.
I know, right?
I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but I have the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1. You can check out my full review on YouTube at youtube.com/twit and just look for the full review. It's actually twice as long as the review that ended up in today's Before You Buy, which I think posts tomorrow. But overall, the Galaxy Note 10.1, you know, is their take on the Note series with the little S Pen Wacom kind of digitizer over the top of the screen, and then this interacts with it. And I'd say by and large, it's definitely a niche product. I think you know, obviously the Note as a phone was a pretty successful device. This is going to have its fans. Hello. And it's going to, you know, and I think those fans are going to have a particular need for something with a Wacom digitizer, some ability to draw with the S Pen. But by and large, if you're spending $500 for a 10-inch tablet and you don't have a specific need for the S Pen, I'd say buy something else. Just the hardware itself that's running underneath here is actually pretty good, but there's just design issues. It's kind of a cheap feeling tablet. The display is lower res than most others in the same price range, and from what I understand, they had to do that because of the Wacom digitizer capability. They had to scale down that display a little bit in order to do it. So, I mean, if you're just getting a tablet and you don't need this, you're going to get better hardware and better capabilities for what you're going to use a tablet for. If you just get something like the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity, something along those lines, this is probably, you know, you won't need to sink your money into the S Pen capabilities. But hey, I posted my review on Google Plus.
I watched it,
and it's on YouTube, and definitely have a few. You know, a little bit of pushback from fans of the Wacom kind of thing, you know, saying, hey, maybe you weren't the right person to do this because you're not a fan of the Wacom kind of technology. And it's true. I have not used anything like this very much. So maybe I wasn't the right person to review it. But I was a normal person to review it, and that was my opinion on it. So,
and what'd you say the resolution was?
It's, what is it, 1280 by 800?
So, I mean, that was the only thing. I watched your whole review, and that was the only thing that I wasn't. And of course, I wasn't able to hold it like you are. But I mean, the resolution on my what is this? A MacBook Pro 13-inch is 1280 by 800, and I've never had any problems with it. So, is it the resolution, or maybe
what it is? Okay, and somebody called this out on me. They were like, "Well, you should be comparing it against similar resolution screens." And I guess what I'm saying is, if you're paying $500 for an Android tablet nowadays, the new standard is being set that it's a higher res than that.
Yeah, right.
And if you're paying that amount and getting lower res, that's okay if what you want is this other capability, the S Pen capability. Yep. But if what you want is a standard general tablet in the $500 range that's good on all fronts, you're already sacrificing your screen resolution based on the other competitors right now.
Yeah, comparatively, for the same money, it's lower resolution.
Exactly. If that's the money you have to spend, you're cheaping yourself out a little bit on that resolution. And I think more and more our eyes are going to get more used to that higher resolution when it comes to these larger size tablets.
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe people agree with me. Maybe they don't. But that's what I had to say. For next week, I'm reviewing this, which is the Samsung Galaxy Relay 4G. And it's a slider phone on T-Mobile, you know, with a hardware keyboard.
There you go.
I've been playing with it for a little bit. You know, it's definitely a mid-range phone. And so far, I think it's perfectly capable. It's actually pretty nice. And, you know, anytime a device comes out with a slide-out QWERTY keyboard,
I miss it.
That's its differentiator.
Sometimes
and it's going to have its fans immediately.
And
because
that's
of that.
thin.
Yeah, it's thin for the most part. There's this like rubberized, fake rubberized backing that I think they put on there intending for it to be slip proof, but it actually seems to slip a lot out of my hands. So I don't know if that's really, you know, perfect. But yeah, so it's a pretty decent phone. I'm going to have a review of this, definitely hitting the TWiT YouTube site sometime early next week, and then in before you buy as well. That's that.
Cool.
Let's continue on.
Hardware. So speaking of slide-out keyboards, I wanted to bring this in. It's the Kyocera Rise. I don't think I have a camera. You might want to actually take that.
Yeah.
Buttons on the top, the power buttons on the top. So this is also a slide-out phone. This one happens to be my wife's. We just got it. It's brand new on Virgin Mobile. I don't know what that is. Okay, there we go. As you can see, it's fairly stock ice cream sandwich. I won't say it's ice cream sandwich because they've got some things on there that they've done, but it's fairly stock ice cream sandwich. And I got to say, I mean, I read all the reviews. I was really afraid that this was going to be a laggy phone, but it actually isn't. It actually works. It's pretty quick. So I loaded Temple Run on there. I played Temple Run for a while. I'm thinking like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to actually do well on Temple Run on this phone because the processor is only 1 gigahertz, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to do well. But it performs really, really well. And it's $99 on Virgin Mobile. So it's a little bit thick, a little thicker than I would like, but my wife doesn't care. So
it's up next to the
kind of
relay.
see it.
So they're about the same.
Yeah, actually about the same. It's just one's not quite as curved as the other one.
Yeah, they're both slide out, so that's kind of the thickness you get with slide out. I think.
So, it actually runs pretty well. Like I said, Temple Run is, there's a few little glitches, but it runs almost as good as on my Galaxy Nexus. The first time I played it, I couldn't believe how far I got. I wasn't expecting it.
I'm already stressed.
It does feel a little bit plasticky, I will say.
Yeah, I can see that.
The back comes off and it feels like it's going to break in half when you take the back off.
Oh yeah, that's always kind of a
it's
maneuver.
really, really so that's where they get, they're cutting corners on some of these things to get the price down. But for $99, an entry level phone, especially if all you want to do is make phone calls, have navigation, do text messages, and maybe play a little Temple Run, you can't beat it. It really does. So I would say, regardless of the reviews that you see, CNET had one on it, for example, regardless of the reviews that say it's only a so-so phone, as long as you're not comparing it to something like the Galaxy Nexus or the HTC One X or something like that, you're going to be happy with this. Your moms are going to be happy with it. Your girlfriends and wives are going to be happy with it. I would
Virgin Mobile.
Virgin Mobile.
Prepaid.
It's called the Kyocera Rise prepaid. $35 a month is their lowest tier. I actually just got sucked into that. I had $25 a month for my wife, and they're like, "Oh, if you're going to activate this new phone, you need to pay us $35 a month." So
no, I don't think so. The Galaxy Nexus, that's $99.
Right.
Does that run on the Virgin network?
No, I don't believe they have the Nexus. No, they have the iPhone now. They've got the HTC Evo 4G. They've got a couple other phones. They're starting to get some more 4G phones. This is a 3G phone. That's the other thing you might want to consider. But like I said, for $99, it's hard to beat, and it runs pretty quickly.
I actually don't mind the hardware. It feels almost more sturdy in some ways than the relay. The thing that jumps out at me on this one is that the display is definitely there's little contrast there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's kind of a little foggy.
The display isn't quite as quality. The other thing is the battery life is actually very good. So we charged that, I think, last night, and we haven't charged it all day. And she's been using it. So how much battery is left on that thing?
About half, I'd say.
So a little more than half, which is, much better than my Galaxy Nexus, actually. If you don't touch it, the standby battery life is super good when the display is not on. So anyway, might be something to consider if you've got someone doesn't need the latest and greatest. Yep. And especially if you're looking for prepaid.
Radical. It's Kyocera. Kyocera?
I don't know. I say Kyocera, but Kyocera Rise.
Kyocera. Awesome.
Cool.
What you got, Ron?
Well, I got a little toy here. You handed it to me right before the show started. I got excited.
I don't think any of us have had our hands on this.
The Motorola Razr M from Verizon. There you go. When folks tell me they're on Verizon and they're not really the Galaxy Nexus types, I constantly push people to the Droid Razr line. And now I got to play with the Droid Razr M. I totally feel confident in doing that because this is a nice little phone. They kind of moved a little bit away from the Battlestar Galactica bezel with the edges. They've kind of rounded them a little, kind of gave them a little more common. Very similar in size to the iPhone. very similar dimensions. It's got a 4.3-inch screen, but holding it reminded me of holding an iPhone, which I thought was kind of fun. Which was kind of funny.
It is.
It's running.
because it's got the tall.
Yeah, it's got the
quality
exactly.
to it.
It's running Android 4.0. It's running Ice Cream Sandwich, not Jelly Bean yet. With light modifications. Normally, I expect way more modifications and way more kind of stuff thrown onto it by Motorola and by Verizon itself. But it's pretty close to stock. And some neat little adjustments. I mean, that's very familiar. But you swipe over here and it gives you a little settings panel, which is a neat little kind of different function. The lock screen, it's a little customized lock screen. You can change from speaker to vibrate, which is kind of cool. You just swipe that over and it does that. When I go to unlock, I can either just go right to the phone or go to the camera or go to the text message or just unlock the phone itself. Nice little phone. You lose a little bit on the price point because it's a little more affordable. Apparently, the camera quality isn't as great as some folks would like, but it's probably passable for most. It's got this kind of rubberized kind of background here. You can see the pattern there, the Kevlar thing. But yeah, it's cool. I dig it playing with this phone. I like it. It's a neat one. Did Leo review it?
Yes, Leo reviewed it on this week's Before You Buy. It'll be in the same episode actually as my note review.
Yeah, so he probably goes way more in
tomorrow.
depth on it, and I'm curious if he agrees with me or not. But I can't imagine not.
You're saying
It's
a
nice
lot of
little
the
phone.
same things. He was really impressed with the battery performance of it.
Yeah,
actually.
I have not had a chance to do that, as I literally just got it a half an hour ago.
So that's Verizon, and do we know the price on that one?
It was $99.
$99.
Not
So
bad.
there you go.
Not bad at all. If you need a phone, if you need to recommend, again, wife, girlfriend, mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, friend,
Former roommate,
anything. Droid Galaxy Razr M. It's a nice little phone. I mean, it's funny holding it between a 4.3 and my big old movie theater size Galaxy Nexus. It feels smaller. I remember using phones this kind of small. It's a nice size.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not bad.
yeah, cool.
All right, and finally, to round out Hardware Extravaganza 2012, what do you have?
So I guess you guys have talked about this before.
But it's awesome.
Yeah. So I was actually going to do this for my app, and you already did it. The six-axis controller. So
And not only did he already did it, he won with it big.
Yeah.
That was a big winner in the
Right.
arena.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So you had a good pick, in other words.
it was a good
that
pick,
was,
but I
was
can't
good
use
inclination.
it. So this is something that popped up. I don't know, last week or a couple weeks ago, called the Gameklip. Have you guys seen this or talked about this? So the Gameklip actually, they make it for a bunch of different phones, and they make it also for a bunch of different controllers, wireless controllers, wired controllers. The wired Sony PlayStation controller you can actually plug in to the USB port if your phone supports it. But the nice thing about it is, and I'll pass this around, it's pretty snug. Like, you think your phone's going to fall out because it's actually only really being held on by this, but it's snug enough that it's not going to fall out. I mean, I'm not afraid to shake it.
That was our question when
If I get
afraid to
frustrated
shake
at
it.
if I get frustrated at a
Never
game,
be afraid to shake
it's actually pretty cool. I mean, you guys can check it out.
when Jason did the app in the arena, we actually pulled this up and we were looking at the webpage and we're like, that's a clever idea. And
Right.
it's
Yeah.
great to actually see it in the
And it's
wild
cheap.
here.
I mean, it's $15, so you're not breaking the bank. I don't have it actually connected, so it's not going to do anything. But
I'm flying through space.
So have
Wow.
you given it a good shake?
Awesome.
Have you given it a...
Remember, that's my phone. Yeah, I mean, look. I mean, it's
Wow.
eventually
your
it'll
phone,
pop
you know.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
eventually it'll come out,
I
right?
could go more,
I mean,
but I'm
they've
not
got
ready.
like little not sticky, but like little felt things on the sides of where the phone holds in.
Oh, right in there.
Yeah, right in the. So I mean, it holds it really tight. So you're not going to be afraid about, and it's also balanced. I don't know if you put the controller on the table. It's just barely balanced so that it doesn't fall over.
Look at that physics.
So if you it will if you tilt it a little bit, but there it goes.
Still, that's
But
sorry,
I mean, that's I don't know.
The screen shatters so easily. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thanks a lot. No, but I think it's really cool. I think if anyone's really into gaming on their phone, they ought to go out and pick one up for $15. Because
that's pretty good.
it's
Feel-
pretty
it
cool.
feels
It
good in
holds
the
it just
hand.
it holds it at just the right angle so you can play, and all the buttons are accessible. They didn't like block any buttons or anything.
The emulator experience on mobile just gets better and better
It does.
when you tack something like this into there.
Yeah.
And I could sit down for hours and play old games.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So I would highly recommend it. I went out, the clip sold me, and so I actually went out and bought the controller
For the clip.
for the clip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went out and got a used controller. You can find them on Craigslist for between $20 and $30. But I got a used controller for the clip because I'm like, I can use the controller for other things anyway. So
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yep.
That is very cool.
And they make one for a tablet for the Nexus 7.
Yeah,
there you
exactly.
go. Cool. It's an early prototype. There
Right,
you go. Yeah,
right.
neat. Cool.
Oh, no. Wow.
It just gets better.
Big screen.
Good. That's cool. I like. You see, we there's so many Kickstarters and Indiegogos and all these projects and people doing stuff. I like seeing innovation in physical things.
Yeah.
Like they're building stuff. They're molding stuff out of plastic and building it. That's
And you
amazing.
see this stuff and you're like, well, duh, yeah, I put it in a molded plastic. I mean, why wouldn't you do this? Why hasn't anybody done this before? I know there are actually other clips out there, but I mean, this one's really good. And it seems like they've put a lot of thought into a piece of plastic, if you can believe it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
All right. Let's dive into the apps. Let's do this. Bring it. All right, Ron.
Well, in your entertainment news, I was going to do a fake entertainment news voice. But, Netflix rolled out a pretty substantial update to the Netflix app recently, and rolled out. I got it on my phone. Have you launched it since the update? Or
Yes, I have.
You see, yeah, I did too. I wanted to show the first screen that showed everything.
Oh.
But I unfortunately I didn't do it. But basically, it's going to look familiar, but there's a lot going on here. They've got a new updated menu button up along the upper left-hand corner that gives you better access to all the genres and all the different things in their library. They've also introduced more rows on your main screen when you load up Netflix of different genres and different recommendations and things like that you can see. So previously, one of my frustrations with Netflix on Android was that it was very limited in that main screen, but this, it kind of keeps going and going and going, as well as also makes the scrolling left and right a little smoother. And you've got a little more easier kind of tap interface now. If you just tap on something once, you get information about the show. And then if you double tap it, it just starts playing it. So
good show.
Yeah. So there you go. So if you've got Netflix, go do your update and you'll see the new hotness. So.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this works on tablets, if that improves the tablet experience. Because I don't know about you guys, but I pulled up the Netflix app on tablets before this update, and just navigating the menu is just really slow.
Yeah.
Like painfully slow at times.
I'm pretty sure I have the latest version on here. Let's find out. But no, it doesn't look like it. Although I checked in the store, and it didn't say it said I had the latest version. Yeah, version 2.0.
Yeah, you have it.
Yeah, so we
I
have
mean,
it.
it's
So,
moving faster than I ever saw.
Yes, it's already moving
on a
faster.
tablet.
Look at this. It's going.
Right.
It's a little laggy in terms of loading the graphics, but but the browse button, because I tapped on something, that's why. So it's loading the Twilight Zone info. But yeah, no, it's pretty.
It wants you to watch The Twilight
It
Zone.
really wants me to watch the Twilight Zone.
It's a great show.
Yeah, of course. But but it's a little more. If you cut back, it's a little more bigger menu. It's using the different and when you hit browse to get to the genres. So yeah, it's Netflix. Go download it or update it.
Excellent. So let's see here. Before we dive into the arena, I got to clean this up a little bit here. I wanted to give a little shout out to a couple fans.
Kind of awesome.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. So, all right, first and foremost, got to thank B-Woogie. If you caught last week's episode, there was a big thing to do about Is It August? For some reason.
It was my
an
app discovery that I didn't plan, and unfortunately, it turned into a thing.
So we have a new app developed by a fan of the show and frequent participator in the chat room, B-Woogie. Is it time for AAA? And I can show it off. It's a very complicated and complex app. You launch it, and it's computing showtime, factoring time zones, dyeing hair red, replaying reruns, baking a cake, calculating insane amounts of data, pouring drinks, polishing thumb ring, and it's not time. It totally failed.
It totally failed. Oh, man, it totally is time for all. Does it? When is it time? Does it say 5:30 or what is the time that goes off it? Yeah.
Have we gone too long? Is it?
Yeah.
That could be.
Are we past our showtime?
I love that we run this during all that Android and it fails. Good try, B-Woogie. I think this is a great start, but that should tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, there we go. Wow. Well, everybody, go
download
to
it,
the
though.
Google Play Store, download
Check it
play
out
with
yourself.
Leave a good review for B-Woogie despite it not working.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I see. B-Woogie says 5 to 6 is
5
what.
to 6.
Okay.
All right, that's fair.
And it's
because
6:20.
It's supposed to be like an hour
we
show.
might want to extend it to 7.
Yeah.
We might
Yeah.
want to do 5 to 7. B-Woogie. I think
we're
that's-
always leading into NSFW, so 5 to 7 would be the safe bet. You're going to have to do a revision.
I think we're going to see. Well, I would imagine B-Woogie's going to give some rapid updates to it. We're going to see some new features and that sort of thing. So yeah, there you go. Thank
And-
you. B-Woogie says he will update it.
Excellent. Thank you. Man, developers are awesome. Thank you, B-Woogie. Appreciate that. Also, this is unrelated to anything. This is unrelated to anything that we talked about on the show, but it helps with a kind of an issue that I've had tracking podcast feeds. Anyone who's here that publishes shows to TWiT has kind of encountered the frustration, which is, does this feed have an episode that I've published to it? And, finding that quickly. At Broxan, Broxan on Twitter, created an Android app called Overcast that does just this. And I'm going to work. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and launch this and do it for the first time, because if this does what it promises, it's pretty darn awesome. The main problem here, and he says he's going to fix to continually develop this over time, but is that you have to enter in these feeds manually. So it'd be cool if at some point, that ends up being an automatic process. But this actually totally addresses something that I need, which is to look quickly and go, hey, is the right episode in the feed? And if it's there, then great. And if not, then I'm in trouble. So let's see here. Podcasts. I know, right? Let's see here. So AAA. So is this going to be right? I don't even know if that's the right feed. I'm following it from the screen here. So let's see. It's refreshing. And it says up at the very top, very quickly, all about Android, 77 sexy apps are sexy, date, published, and file name. I totally asked for this, I think, on Google+, just like, man, this is what I need. And what do you know? Broxan comes and saves the day and totally creates it. So if you manage lots of feeds and you just want a quick look at what the latest entry in each feed is, this is such a specific use case, but for me, it's awesome. So thank you so much. I'm going to share it with all the editors and publishers here at TWiT, because I think anyone who has an Android device will use this to quickly see that, and it's a lifesaver.
Just to verify that it's there, right?
Well, the problem is you could use a podcast app to do this, right? But podcast apps also have a lot of other stuff
going on.
It wants to download the episode, wants to do all these things, and all I want to know is, these are the feeds that I'm responsible for. Do they have what I expect?
Yep.
Yes, they do. Great. Tony's looking at me with a little bit of a smile.
We'll work on your note.
Yeah, you like it?
to work on your note.
Oh, he needs to download it right now.
He's
See?
downloading it right
We're the
now.
only ones that are going to think this is awesome, and maybe other people that publish podcasts and manage
No, I do
feeds,
totally.
but
No,
it's-
I manage the feeds for iFanboy, and that's something that I'm constantly doing. Like, I publish it, I use FeedBurner, and I hit synchronize, and then I'm like, okay, did it go? Or, and so,
Was there a problem? Yeah.
and there. Granted, there are a lot of other details in feeds that this isn't showing you necessarily. Maybe at some point it'll get developed to where you can create what elements are pulled into the view to tailor to your own use. But that, again, is called Overcast. The other app is It Time for AAA? And we've got some amazing fans. You guys are pretty awesome.
That was awesome. When that hit Twitter last week, it was very funny. I was very honored. So
very, very cool.
Yeah, and hey, B-Woogie, man, you're going to give the Is It August guy a run for his money. So let's get more reviews and things like that in there.
More hard-hitting reviews. There's some serious ones in there right now. We need to bulk that up a little bit. All right, let's waste no more time. Let's get into the arena.
2 enter, 1 lives. Android Arena.
Boom. Okay.
Why haven't you guys updated that? It really should be 3 enter, right? I mean,
this is an ongoing thing. Yes, it should. It wasn't created by us. It was created by somebody else, and so we're kind of at the mercy of their kindness. They say they're going to get to it eventually. At this point, it's just a relic. It's hard to get rid of it. It's a running thing. So last week we had Russell Hawley, actually, of Geek.com, on as a special guest, and he was the one that presented the winning app from last week's arena.
By
The
far.
tale of 2012 in the arena is the guests, I think.
Yes.
That's what, so Aaron, no pressure.
shine.
Well, I had a winning one,
You
but you guys
did.
already did it.
there you go. Look at that.
We had to take it away from you. So it's Battery Widget Reborn with 54%. More than half of the votes were for Battery Widget Reborn. I came in second with Lux Auto Brightness. That's 25%. Third place was Tip Skip. Is that Eileen's?
Yeah, it was.
That was with 11%. And finally, Runtastic, actually.
It's not my fault you guys don't want to be fit.
Yes. There we go. No one wants to exercise these days. So there we go with 10% of the votes. And we have for you another assortment of great apps to cover this week. Go for it.
I mean, I go first. All right.
Yep.
So I'm not going to win this week, and it's fine because I love this app and I actually use it in the wild. And it's something that I always, when you get your phone, it's not one of the first apps I install, but it's definitely one of the last apps I install. It is called LED Scroller Ultimate. And basically what it does is it's a very easy to use app that turns your device into a scrolling LED sign. So,
okay. All right.
And now I'll show you how to use it, and then I'll tell you why it's on my phone and what I use it for. So if you want to go to my my tablet here, I've got the app here, and we're going to rotate it. And basically, real simple. This is one of those. It's not very pretty. It's not very well designed. You know, it just works here. They ask you to pay for it, but this is a free version. So here you can add new messages. So you can have a bunch of different messages. You can delete them very easily, right? You can edit them by hitting the little pencil mark. And then here you can type in what you want to say. So for this, I'm gonna erase the default. And I'm gonna write, I'll do it in all caps, all about, oh, my fat fingers. That's what the show's about. All about Android. Okay. And I can customize the color. They've got a bunch of, kind of standard RGB colors. You want anything more subtle, it's locked until you buy it, which is fair. You can change the background panel if you want. If you want to make it red on blue, I think black tends to work for the use case I'm going to provide. You can control whether there's contrast or not. You can change the size of the LEDs to small or large. I'm going to minimize the keyboard. You can change the direction it scrolls from left to right. You can change the speed with this little slider. I'll do about middle, hit save. And then when it comes time to use your sign, you just do it. And now you've got this great little LED scroller. So now back to me. If you wonder why I use this and how I use it, and there are better looking apps that do this, but what I often need and why I use this is I go to a lot of concerts. I go to a lot of shows. I go to a lot of shows that...
You're that guy.
I go to a lot of shows that often have bands that that are fun, that will play an encore, and sometimes they take requests.
But only scrolling LED
but
requests.
Everyone yells and stuff like that. So it's a lot easier to just hold your phone up and do that. And not only do you get your message across, but you stand out of the crowd. They stop and actually look in the crowd, and then they wait and read it, and then they laugh. And I've done this at like 3 or 4 shows in the past year, and it's worked every time. It's gotten a good laugh.
Seriously,
and
it's
play
worked?
my song. Yeah, totally.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like
Wow.
I did it recently at Slim's in San Francisco when Braid was playing. They got to the end of their encore. They're like, "What do you want to hear?" And so I just held up the song, and they stopped everything, and everyone turned and looked. It was like I don't need to go up to because that's the thing is like you need to go up to the stage and yell what you want and stuff like that. No, I just stood in the back. I just held my phone up, and it totally worked.
Oh, that's cool.
It's totally free. Fast, easy to edit. All you gotta do is type in the name of the song, do that, boom, it's done. It's also good for picking people up at the airport and anytime you need some sort of if you're at a party and you're like, hey, want to go? It's a great way to if you make eye contact with someone. It's a great fun little app. Like I said, it's not a winner, but it's one that I love and it's one that I like to use. So.
It's not a winner. It's a chicken dinner.
Yeah. But it's free. It's free in the Android Marketplace. They do have a paid version that unlocks the colors and all stuff like that.
Yeah.
And look at that. See?
There we go. Cool story, bro.
You see now, how fast was it to install and use that, Chad?
It was great. It was wonderful.
Yeah. So there you go.
Very, very nice.
Yep. And I'm sure you can think of other clever ways to use the signage. So, but yeah.
I guarantee that would work for people watching shows in the TWiT audience.
Oh,
in
sure.
the TWiT studio.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud because now everybody's going to come in here and do scrolling LED
but
requests.
Hey, you'd be surprised. Once you have the ability to deliver a message via text that way, you're surprised how many opportunities you have to do it in your daily life. So,
how do you stand out when everybody at the concert is doing this?
That's the
but
thing.
I guess that's the problem. You're probably
You have to find a way to differentiate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Also, you
Blink
probably want to go to a venue that's like max like 1,000 people. Like anything more than that, you just get lost.
Or bring a really big tablet.
Really big tablet. Yeah, just like bring the old 20-inch.
40-inch tablet.
So anyway, LED Scroller Ultimate. It's free in the Android Marketplace. So search.
Awesome.
Google Play Store. Wow, that was a blast from the past. Android Marketplace. Google Play Store.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to go backwards.
Yeah.
Time.
All right.
Cool. LED Scroller Ultimate. Now it is your turn, Aaron.
It's my turn. So on to games. For some reason, I always end up talking about games when I come on.
You tried not to today.
I was
really.
going to
No,
because
you didn't.
it was all
No,
about
actually,
games.
No, you're right. Never
It was
mind.
about playing games, right? But
True.
So my app today is called Bit Trip Beat. Say it 10 times fast.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
This is a lot of fun. It's 99 cents on the Google Play Store, and it's all about 8-bit music, 8-bit gaming, kind of fun stuff. So when this comes up, and I don't know if you can pick up my audio on this or not.
I can't, but there is an audio cable hanging off the
right.
bottom.
So basically, like I said, it's all about 8-bit goodness. There we go. There's the cable. Plug this in, and we'll see what happens.
I hope it works.
Yep, I'm turned up. Okay, so basically all you do when the thing loads up, there we go. So you got to have the music. It's all about the music with this app. So you can click on start the game.
I'm scared.
Music's awesome. It's basically all you're doing is you're advancing the music by catching the little bits that come at you. So it's going to throw bits at you. You're going to tilt the phone and to catch the bits. And as you catch the bits, it builds the music. So here we go. It's just about to start here. Very retro.
We do like the 8-bit.
Atari.
Yeah. It does well in the arena, too.
Atari looking stuff. Okay, here we go. I mean, they actually put a lot of thought into this. You know, I mean, it could just like load and be like one of the Pappy games, but they actually put a lot of thought into building it. Okay. Here we go. All right, here we go. So
Mesmerized right now.
Yeah. So you got
I see. All
yeah.
right,
So I'm
cool.
actually tilting the phone.
So it's like Arkanoid. But
Right. Exactly. You're tilting the phone, trying to get these things back.
Or Breakout.
Yeah, or like breakout, and you can hear it like with the sounds. Listen.
Oh, that's cool.
And if I miss, it still gives you a sound, but it's a different sound. Like if you want to keep the melody going, you have to keep hitting these things, and it's super addicting. Like the first time you play this, you're just going to be like, "Oh, I've got to keep playing. I've got to keep playing because I've got to get." You can see as you build chains, you get more and more points. Oh, I missed. So, anyways, so that's totally what it is. That's all it is. I mean, it's a super simple game, but it's great 8-bit music and 8-bit graphics, and it's really hard to talk and play at the same time. But,
Yeah, I know. That's always the
oh, see, they
part
start
of
going
having
faster.
a
Did you
game
catch that? They go really fast after you do really well. As you go up in the stages, it gets really, really hard to actually hit the things back. So, and there's other stages too. Like, let's see if I can go back to. Can I go? If I hit quit, it'll go back to the menu. So there's other stages as well, and I promise I won't take up all the time. Come on. Oh, maybe I haven't unlocked it yet. But there's other stages you can unlock apparently with this as well, and it's just super, super fun to play. So I'd highly recommend it if you like 8-bit music and you like 8-bit graphic games. If you remember the old Atari games and you just want to have some fun, download Bit Trip Beat. There we go.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, like I said, it's 99 cents. It was part of one of the Humble bundles.
Oh, okay.
So that's also really cool. That's how I got a hold of it. Is I bought the Humble bundle and paid my $10 or whatever, and this was part of it. So really fun game. Go check it out.
That is really cool.
Yep.
I had not heard of that one. Oh, that looks intense. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets crazy. It absolutely gets crazy
God.
after a while.
And that's all from tilting. Like that's
Right.
not manual control.
No,
That's
you just tilt your
That's
phone.
hard to do.
Yeah, but it's simple too. It's simple but hard.
I mean, yeah, simple to grasp,
simple
hard
concept,
to execute.
but hard to execute
Yeah.
on. So, yep.
Wow. Ugh. Some of these games just kind of stress me out. This one, once I start seeing this stuff, it
Yeah.
kind of stresses me. What are you talking about? That's impossible. I would be so bad at this game.
And I love how the music builds with it too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they've really kind of taken the interaction one step further, and made it really enjoyable. Like you get like a double reward, right? You get the points or whatever, but then you also get the musical, like the sound, coming back at you, the feedback from getting the
having that integrate into the song is
Right.
really clever. Yeah,
right.
that's good.
Yep.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I will take the MHL plug
There you
from
go.
you, if you don't mind, sir, and hope. And
know if you need
hope
audio,
that
but-
it'll, yeah, I don't need audio.
Okay.
Not for this one. Hope that it'll sync up. Looks like it's probably moving. Did you get that, Chad?
Got it.
Excellent. All right. So let me see here. My app is a free app called Cool Tool System Stats. And I just thought this was kind of a neat. Normally, Eileen seems to have the corner on the overlay.
She does.
Apps. But this is definitely different than the ones that Eileen has featured on the show.
Way to capitalize on her absence.
Yeah, right.
She's not here. Otherwise, she'd totally be doing Cool Tools right now.
Like,
That's totally an
an
Eileen app. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and launch it. Well, you can see right off the top, and literally at the top left corner of my screen, you can see the overlay right there. And essentially, what Cool Tools is, and I imagine this would be very good for developers in particular, but really for however you want to customize this, it's a tiny little, or you can customize the size, overlay that you can put on top of your device, and you can customize that to be a number of things. Right now I'm noticing my CPU usage is spiking up to 94%. I wonder what's doing that right now. So hopefully this goes smoothly here.
Amazon App Store.
No, thankfully that's not on there anymore. So this is the settings menu. This is where all the magic happens. And you can basically set anything that you want to the draw chart. Right now I have it to CPU usage, available RAM. It'll wipe out the chart and start to draw it. As well, you can set kind of the update interval for that so it can update faster or slower. As well as other customizations like colors and rows and all that kind of stuff. This little positioner down here allows me to float it over the top of anything that I want. One
cool.
good place in this case might be the center, because then it won't interfere with any of my notifications. I'll go ahead and swipe over here. All the different labels, and these are essentially just the little bits of information that you see up there. As I'm removing them, they're disappearing. Let's see, if I just wanted CPU usage, I could have that up there. And so now I'm just seeing CPU usage as well as battery temperature. All this stuff, I imagine, could either be, like, I know people do this a lot with their Windows PCs or their Mac. They have down in the status bar or down in the launcher bar area.
Right.
Why can I not talk today? Down on the screen, little bits of information that tell them whether their computer is like throttling or
memory
whatever.
usage, temperature,
all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of a way to do it on your Android device. Gauges, again here, these are just kind of the little bars that you see on the left-hand side, and I could get rid of all of them if I wanted to in this case, but I'll go ahead and leave battery level there for giggles. You can change the size of things, so if I want to span it out, I can do that, as well as height, although height doesn't give you a whole lot unless you're changing font size. Then it starts to get a little bit bigger as a whole. You can also change the opacity of all the individual elements. So if you want it to be completely over the top of your screen for the most part, you can make that happen, or you can have it happen really faintly in the background. So that would enable you to put it anywhere and it wouldn't really interfere as much. You can do all of these changes to it. On top of that, there are themes that you can download. There's a number of free themes that you can download that give you kind of wider bars and that sort of stuff, as well as another bunch of customizations. I don't have run on startup checked. I probably want that if I want to start up and have it running immediately. You can also add it to a blacklist, and this is very useful if, say, you have an app like Maps or something that you don't want this overlay to appear onto. You can set a number of apps in the blacklist, and then anytime you launch that app, this overlay will actually disappear for that app, so you won't see it on everything, like maybe Netflix or something. When you're watching video, you don't want that to be there all the time. And finally, logging, if that's important to you. There's also a way to save your settings, because there's a lot of customizations that you can do through here, so the ability to kind of save that to an external SD card file. One weird thing, there is an ad-free Pro version, but that actually links you to the Amazon store. There isn't one in the Play Store right now, so maybe that's okay for you. If so, go for it. I have to imagine one is coming at some point to the Play Store right now. But it's just kind of a nifty little diagnostic settings overlay for your device. If this is information that you're interested in tracking, this is one way to do it. You can quite literally place this anywhere on your screen, and your clicks still kind of go through to whatever's underneath it. I think you can set it up to where if you double tap it, it pulls up settings, or it can do a couple of things, but I haven't gotten that far into it. But that is kind of it. It's called Cool Tool, and it's kind of cool.
It is. It's a cool tool.
Cool tool. It's free in the Google Play Store.
I like the customization. I mean, I like that you can set all these different things. I mean, there's not a lot of apps that eventually they might get there. This one seems like it's there, though. I mean, they have all the overlay, the opacity, and all that kind of stuff. That all the different things you can track. I mean, there's a lot of individual things like that that'll add stuff to the notification bar, for example.
Right.
You know, like, oh, I want to see like the number on my battery, not just the battery indicator. I want to see like percentage, things like that. But this seems like it pretty much does all that and more. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it would be hard for me having, it looking the way it is right now. I would probably have to kind of scale the font size down, and make it really seem like it's part of the notification bar up there.
Right.
Really kind of fit it up there so that it's out of the way for the most part. And in portrait, it kind of gets in the way even more because there's less room, less real estate, less room. But thankfully you can tweak it enough to kind of hopefully get a sweet spot for the most part to where that information can reside and it's useful to you. So that's a cool tool. All right, so those are the 3 apps this week. We would love for you to let us know which is your favorite. Is it LED Scroller Ultimate, Bit, Trip Beat, or Cool Tool?
Another app with Ultimate wasn't my Ultimate.
I know, you're like the Ultimate guy.
Yeah, I'm just in the Play Store searching Ultimate. But yeah,
Ultimately Ultimate.
Oh, yeah.
Ron
Go
Richards. Go Volt. Go vote. bit.ly/78poll AAA. bit.ly/78poll AAA, and let us know which is your favorite app this week. Checking on it immediately. Let's see.
LED Scroller Ultimate is doing okay, but I think Bit Trip Beat is going to take it.
Yeah, Bit Trip Beat is pretty darn cool.
I've got to hold up my end of the bargain as being the guest. Oh no, you say that and it's like,
yeah, look, there you go. LED Scroller Ultimate. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Simple.
Well, you just finished Cool Tool, so let's give it a few minutes, see what happens.
Yeah, no, Cool Tool will pick up. So,
I don't know. I'm having a feeling I might be in the background again. Anyways,
well, let's see.
I love this process because you never really know.
You never really know. And there's
you think you know, but you don't.
Really fun game.
Yeah.
There's a system kind of monitoring, a little numbery kind of thing, and then there's just useless fun little stupid app that does one thing. And
perfect. 3 apps that have nothing to do with each other.
Exactly.
Which one wins? That's awesome.
Cool.
I want to before we sign off for the day, give a special thanks out to the folks that maintain the wiki. Very recently, I started kind of just doing what I've been doing on Tech News Today, which is essentially taking a copy of the Google Doc that we use for the show and just publishing that live, because that allows us to publish the show and you get all of the links immediately as the show is published. In particular, Jim Garrison emailed me and he was like, do you want the wiki still updated? If so, I'll help maintain it. I'll bring it up to date. The wiki is kind of on your guys' shoulders. Jim was a perfect example of that. He actually brought it entirely up to date. There were a lot of episodes that were missing entries. I'm going to start linking to both in the show notes or in the links on every episode page. Still, the wiki is a very valuable tool, and if you guys want to help Jim to keep it updated, please do. It's at wiki.twit.tv. You can find all of our shows there.
Is that the Jim Garrison from the Kennedy trial and the cities from JFK, or is it a different Jim Garrison?
Same guy.
Yeah, wow, that's a celebrity.
He's an Android fan.
He's an Android fan. Yeah, who knew?
Mr. Garrison.
There you go. Mr. Garrison. Or it's that Garrison. Yeah. Anyways, Jim, thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your help. That's it for this week. Aaron, awesome always to have you on the show. Really appreciate you coming on.
Right.
This is your chance to plug whatever you want.
Really the best place to follow me is on Google+. Just add me to your circles and all the stuff I talk about is on there. That's my number one go-to place to disseminate information. And more importantly, as opposed to other networks that will remain nameless, you can really engage and have a conversation, start a hangout, do whatever you want. So follow me on Google+. But if you're a Facebook user, Twitter user, I'm there as well. Just search for Aaron Newcomb, all one word, and you will find me there as well. So either way you do it. And tune in tomorrow where I'll be guest hosting. I guess Gina's out, so I'll be on This Week in Google.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'll be on there again. And of course, I'm regularly or semi-regularly on Floss Weekly here on the TWiT network as well. So if you want to talk about open source, learn about open source, cool open source projects, not the boring ones, the cool ones, do tune in to Floss Weekly every Wednesday morning. So that's a lot of fun.
Bright and early, at least on the Pacific Coast.
At least on the Pacific Coast, right? For me, it's early to actually to get here at 8:30.
Everybody else is just about to eat
It's
lunch.
a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So
awesome. Well, thanks again. We always really appreciate and enjoy having you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
You bet. Ron.
Real simple. Just go find me at about.me/RonXO. There are links to all my social network stuff, including Google Plus and Twitter and Facebook and all the fun stuff. And you can track my comings and goings and see why I'm unshaven and exhausted when I come back next week after I come back from the first Comic-Con that I'm organizing at MorrisonCon in Vegas.
So then we already know why.
Yeah, well,
you just gave it away.
You'll see and if you follow me on Twitter, you can see all the fun happen this weekend.
Yes, we can see it happen systematically over time.
Exactly. So, doing
more
that.
and more bags under the eyes.
Yeah, but it'll be fun. And you can catch me every day at ifanboy.com where we're talking comics there. So
awesome. And you can find me about.me/Jason Howell or on Twitter at Jason Howell. That's it for this week. Leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. You can always send us an email, attach a link to a video for a video mail at aaa@twit.tv. Find the show on Twitter. We are at Android Show. You can find our show notes as we were talking about, twit.tv/AAA. There's links to everything there. Past episodes on our site as well. There's iTunes, YouTube, all that stuff. You can catch us live every Tuesday starting at 5 p.m. Pacific at live.twit.tv. Or you can find Is It Time for AAA in the Google Play Store. B. Woogie just said in chat that he's updated it and he's waiting for Google servers to push out the update. Dedication right there.
It is.
Download that companion app and search for it. Thank you guys so much for making this an awesome show. We'll see you next week on another episode of All About Android.
Yay, goodbye.
Bye.